of you know me because all of you are from my class, but for those of you who don't, I'm Samantha Thompson. I'm in 3rd semester. My speech today is about a very special man in my life. He happens to be a dog, so don't judge me. But I would also like to preface this with saying that I am in no way, shape, or form an expert in animal behavior or animal training. All of this is purely based off my own experience with my own dog. So those of you here who are experts in animal behavior or training, please don't throw stones at me if I say something that you're just like, oh my gosh, that's just not right. So I would like to start off first, not with doing that, to ask you guys a couple questions. So when I say, tell me a dog breed that you would consider to be family friendly, what would you say?
Golden Retriever.
Spot on. Just yell them out. Lab. Pomeranian.
French Bulldog.
French Bulldog, okay. Pug, okay. Beagles. Every dog, I like that answer. Muds. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So you guys named a couple really good ones. I did a lot of research for this speech. Some of it was legit, some of it wasn't so legit. So I just kind of compiled all of the breeds that I just saw excessively on all of the lists. So obviously, first one was the Golden Retriever. Good job, Brandon. Collies. Lassie, anyone? No? Okay. Irish setters, which I found really surprising. I had a Gordon setter growing up, and it's not that he wasn't family friendly, he was just an extreme goofball and didn't really want anything to do with anything other than just himself. Beagles, which again, I know you mentioned it, Kayla, but I just thought this was really funny because I guess breaking the sound barrier is not considered a negative, but it can be. Bull terriers, which I also thought was really interesting. Standard poodles. Now I say standard poodles because miniature poodles are not family friendly. I'm never going to say this right, but Newfoundlands apparently are very family friendly. Bulldogs and Labrador Retrievers. All right, so on the other side of this, if I was to tell you to list out dogs that you consider to be extremely aggressive, what would you say? Chihuahuas. Nice.
Fox Terrier.
Fox Terrier?
Little terriers.
Oh, okay. Dalmatians, okay. Yes. Rottweilers, yeah. Okay, so a lot of opinions, nice.
Poorly
Pitbulls.
trained anything.
What?
Poorly trained anything.
Poorly trained anything. I would agree with that. Anybody else? No? Okay. So again, extensive research on the internet. I just compiled all of the breeds that I just saw extensively on these lists. So Rottweiler, Chows, German Shepherds, Chihuahuas, Huskies, Akitas, pretty much all of those breeds, Doberman Pinschers, and weenie dogs. Sorry, Denisa. All right, so on the flip side of this, my whole speech today is basically based on kind of misconceptions about not just pit bulls, but all breeds in general. So I'd like to show you some different pictures of all those family-friendly dogs that we looked at before. So the Golden Retriever, the Collie, the Irish Setter, the Beagle, the Bull Terrier, the Poodle, Standard Poodle, excuse me, the Newfoundland, Bulldog. It's really hard to find an aggressive picture of a Bulldog because they always kind of make that face and you're not really sure whether or not they're aggressive. So that was just the meanest one that I found. And Labrador Retrievers. And then again, pictures of those dogs that before that we said were really aggressive. So the Rottie, the Chow, German Shepherd, the Chihuahua, Huskies, Dobies, and weenie dogs. All right, so what we're here for. Number one on top of every single list I looked at, no matter if it came from a legitimate source, a non-legitimate source, whatever, pit bulls. Through and through, everyone says pit bulls are the most aggressive breed. And I tend to think that that is because we associate pit bulls with this. So not so family friendly, right? Pit bulls, I'm not going to sit here and say that they were not bred to be dog fighters. They definitely were. That's in their history. Everybody knows that. But the point of my presentation today is to kind of give you guys a different ideal of what pit bulls can be. And again, it's based purely on my own personal experience. I'm not saying that you should all go adopt pit bulls right now at the pound, and they're all just going to be the greatest dogs in the entire world. It just kind of depends on how you raise them. So, I'm going to try not to cry. This is Bo. Most of you are friends with me on Facebook, so you know who this is. But for those of you who don't, this is my pit bull. He came into my life about 2.5 years ago. He was a parvo survivor, so I already knew he was strong. I decided to adopt him while he was in the clinic with us. He was found on the street, so he didn't have an owner. And he kind of just latched onto my heart and never let go. But I told my veterinarian, I was like, listen, the little puppy that came in last week for parvo, when he's done with his treatment, I'm going to take him home. And she just looked at me. She's like, are you sure? I said, yeah. She's like, well, have you ever had pit bulls before? No, I've never had pit bulls before. I grew up with labs, and that random Gordon setter that got thrown into the mix. And she was like, well, you're in for a treat. So I kind of took that as more of an insult than it was anything. I wasn't really sure if she was sure of my ability, or again, if she was just assuming because this guy was a pit bull that he was just going to be a horrible dog. So I adopted him out of love, but I also have to admit I adopted him a little bit out of spite too, just to prove her wrong. So I'm going to go through a couple of the common things that I heard about pit bulls as I was in the process of adopting Bo, and kind of just show how that's not necessarily true for all dogs. So the first one, pit bulls are really difficult to train. Again, not an expert in animal training in any way. My parents were solely responsible for all the training of our dogs growing up. So Bo was really my first shot at training a dog myself. I'd have to say it went really well. Pit bulls have this way about them. They are very eager to learn and willing to please. That's actually a big reason why they were bred to be fighting dogs, because once they have an owner that they're loyal to, they will go to the ends of the earth for that owner. So Bo was very easy with simple commands: sit, stay, coming to his name. And then I also taught him things that I thought were a little more complicated. So the first one is, bless his little heart, he's 65 pounds of pure muscle, so he's not the greatest swimmer in the entire world. So every time we're in the river, he can't stand it when we're all swimming in the water, and he can't be there with us, and the poor thing can't tread water for more than 2 minutes. So I taught him how to jump up on the tube, and that way he can float in the water with us, and he doesn't have to worry about drowning. I haven't gotten pictures of it, but he can also climb up the steps on our dock and the steps on our boat, because dogs will do silly things like jump into the water when people aren't around, and I wanted to make sure he could get himself out if none of us were around. Because if this dog drowned, I would probably die. And then this looks like something you wouldn't necessarily want your dog to know how to do. I put this picture more up to show that I spoil my dogs, just spoil them like crazy. Bo sleeps with me. He's on the couch with me when I'm watching TV. I do allow him on the furniture. That's just how I was raised. Dogs were just pretty much like family members. But I don't want anybody to fear that if they ever invite me over with Bo, that he's going to jump up on your furniture. He won't. He's very good about listening to me when I tell him to get down off the furniture. He's also good about listening to me when I can tell him that he can come sit with me in the furniture. So the next one is one that people hear a lot. Pit bulls are usually really aggressive towards people. This was something obviously I was very scared of, again, not having a whole lot of background with pit bulls. Luckily, Bo took to people really easily. So, as you can see, Bo really loves people. Actually, the more people around him loving him at one time, the better. That's really his element. The two pictures are him with my brother, which should make me really jealous, but it doesn't because he's just so flippin' cute. I can't stand it. My dog, not my brother. And the other picture is actually a typical couch position for Bo. That's actually my mom. Right there. She will be on the couch and he will climb up and just get in the most intertwined positions he possibly can, and that makes him happy, so we just go with it. Again, this is just my personal experience with pit bulls. I'm not here to say that you will never be bitten by a pit bull in your entire life, and there's no way, shape, or form a pit bull will ever bite you. Ironically, I have been bit by a pit bull. It's probably one of the worst bites I've actually ever had. I have a huge scar on my arm to prove it. I will say this dog was extremely abused, and she was semi-provoked. She was very much afraid of leashes, and I had a leash in my back pocket, so she was going for it, and my arm just happened to be there instead of the leash. So again, on the other side of that, I've worked in and out of clinics for the past 5 years. I've been bitten by chihuahuas, I've been bitten by labs, I've been bitten by poodles. You name it, there's a good chance it's tried to bite me. So I really just want to hit this point home. All dogs have the ability to bite, not just pit bulls. If the dog has a mouth and it has teeth and it feels scared or provoked in any way, there's a good chance it's going to try to bite you, regardless of whether or not it's a pit bull. So it's more of just trying to be smart about knowing what you're dealing with versus just assuming, oh my God, that's a pit bull, put a muzzle on it, it's going to bite me. So on the other side of that, it's all well and great if they're not aggressive towards humans, but what if they're aggressive towards other animals? This was not an option for me. I grew up in multi-animal homes. All my family members have animals, all my friends have animals. So as soon as Bo was able to be around other dogs, of course after the parvo treatment was done, I socialized him very early. So his first experience with the dog was actually with my dad's dog. He looks like a Rottweiler. He's actually a purebred Labrador Retriever. So we're not quite sure what happened with that. We tell him he's a lab and he just goes with it, so it's fine. But I really think this helped Bo a lot with his aggression towards other animals because my dad's dog can be a little more dominant.